This sounds completely and utterly satanic to me. This rising tsunami of demons.
This is a very weird one. You're going to want to hear this. I couldn't believe this. Pope Francis literally said, "I am the devil," to a journalist. Pope Francis tells stunned journalist, "I am the devil." Is this the first time Francis is acknowledging his wrongdoing? Now, I read this article, and it doesn't really get into it. It kind of mentions it, and then it talks about his stupid trip. It doesn't get into the whole thing. So just listen to this. This is really weird. Is this the first time Francis is acknowledging his wrongdoing? Pope Francis was greeting journalists on his way to Lithuania on Saturday when he stopped to receive a book about the former pope by Polish photographer, journalist Grzegorz Galzaka. As Galzaka gave the book to Francis, he quipped, "Pope John Paul II was a saint. I am the devil." Wait a minute. So this journalist, gave this book to Francis, and Francis said, "Pope John Paul II was a saint. I am the devil." He literally said, "I am the devil." What? Uncomfortable, Galzaka immediately replied, "No, you both are saints. You both are saints." This is so weird. This is the first time Francis is seemingly acknowledging his wrongdoing, particular in the cover-up of pedophile priest in the Vatican. Let me turn that off, please. Thank you. So, in case you didn't hear it because of the stupid buzzing, this is the first time Francis is seemingly acknowledging his wrongdoing, particular in the cover-up of pedophile priest in the Vatican. So is this why he's saying he's the devil? Very weird. Francis is fiercely criticized by conservatives and child abuse groups alike, who have become more vocal amid the church's recent child sex abuse scandals. And then I have another article that gets into some satanic things as well. Yahoo News reports Lithuania's president has expressed gratitude to Pope Francis for paying tribute to Holocaust victims in the Baltic nation. Francis landed Saturday in the capital Vilnius for a 4-day visit to the Baltics. He will visit a memorial site of the Vilnius ghetto on Sunday, today, the 75th anniversary of its final destruction. And right here we see trending, Ebola outbreak disease spreads beyond infection zone, pandemic warning. All right, so now it says President Dalia Grybauskaite said Saturday, in a country brutalized by both Nazi and Stalinist crimes, many people stood up to rescue Jews because they saw humanity as the ultimate good. On September 23, 1943, the remaining residents in the Vilnius ghetto were executed or sent off to concentration camps by the occupying forces of Nazi Germany. Francis's visit will also include neighboring Latvia and Estonia. And then it goes on about his trip. He's urging Lithuania, which endured decades of Soviet and Nazi occupation, expulsions, and executions, to be a model of solidarity in a world driven by intolerance, as he began a visit to 3 Baltic nations. Francis arrived in Lithuania on Saturday to encourage the faith and mark the 100th anniversary of Baltic independence, kicking off a grueling 4-day trip that will also take him to Latvia and Estonia. Speaking outside the presidential palace in the capital of Vilnius, Francis recalled that until the arrival of totalitarian ideologies in the 20th century, Lithuania had been a peaceful home to a variety of ethnic and religious groups. He said the world today is marked by political forces that exploit fear and conflict to justify violence and expulsions of others, a reference to anti-immigrant populist and far-right groups in Europe and beyond. Pope Francis has departed on a pilgrimage to all 3 Baltic countries. Yeah, you said that like twice before. Francis left Rome early Saturday morning on a special Alitalia flight headed to Vilnius, the capital of Lithuania. His 4-day trip will also include Latvia and Estonia. There's a 4th time they repeated that. Francis greeted the Airbus A320's captain and 2 of its flight attendants at the top of the stairs to the aircraft before taking his seat inside. Wow, thanks for that little piece of information. Russia will be the elephant in the room as Pope Francis begins a 4-day visit to the Baltics amid renewed alarm about Moscow's intentions in the region it has twice occupied. Francis is traveling to Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia to mark the 100th anniversaries of their independence and to encourage the faith in the nations, which saw 5 decades of Soviet-imposed religious repression and state-sponsored atheism. 50 years of occupation left their mark both on the church and on the people, said Monsignor Gintaras Grusas, Archbishop of Vilnius. People have deep wounds that from that period that take time to heal. Francis lands Saturday in the Lithuanian capital, Vilnius, to begin 4-day, 3-country trip that will feature encounters with political leaders as well as the Catholic Lutheran, I'm an idiot, as well as the Catholic, Lutheran, and Russian Orthodox faithful. Okay, so thanks for telling me about his stupid trip and his where he's going a million times. What about the whole 9 yards about him saying he's the devil? He's the devil. Were there any follow-up questions to him saying that he's the devil? It literally says a stunned journalist, the stunned journalist said, "No, you are both saints. You are both saints." And he just comes right out and says, this guy, Pope John Paul II, was a saint. I am the devil. Are you kidding me? Now down here, I wanted to go over this because it didn't get into the satanic element. It kind of just brushed right past it. But right here, Pope Francis, bishops' child abuse accusers are allies of Satan. So he's saying the child abuse accusers are Satan, or allies of Satan. Pope Francis, bishops' child abuse accusers are allies of Satan. So they're allies of you because you just called yourself Satan, or the devil. You literally just called yourself the devil. You said, I am the devil. But right here, he's saying the bishop's child abuse accusers are allies of Satan. Head of Catholic Church doubles down on claims that cries for justice are Satan's work. I mean, are you not confused about this guy's actions? It's very, very perplexing. Pope Francis claims that those who accuse bishops of child abuse are Satan's allies. What? But they're guilty. This doesn't make any sense. So he seems remorseful, or maybe he was remorseful. It seems like they were saying, he was saying that the other pope was a saint. He is the devil. I don't know if he's referencing himself and the role he played in the child abuse cover-ups. But right here, he's saying the people that accuse the bishops of the sex crimes they are guilty of are Satan's allies. What the hell? Pope Francis has claimed that those who accuse bishops of sexually abusing children or covering up abuse of others are doing Satan's work. So those who accuse bishops of sexually abusing children or covering up abuse of others are doing Satan's work. Satan's work is them, not the people that are... The people that would know for sure are probably the people that have been raped and molested. The head of the Catholic Church doubled down on previous claims that accusations against clergy members and calls for justice and accountability on behalf of the victims are the work of the devil, which you just called yourself, by the way. So they're works of you. Speaking during Mass on Thursday, Francis said Satan is the great accuser who is attempting to destroy Christianity. That seems like you. That does seem like you. So when you call yourself the devil, I have to agree. The Pope used his homily. His homily? Homily? The Pope used his homily at morning mass to once again denounce accusers as allies of Satan before his meeting with the leadership of the U.S. Bishops' Conference to discuss recent allegations of clerical sex abuse that reach all the way up to the pontiff himself. Pope Francis is accused of covering up child abuse by his friend, Cardinal McCarrick. According to Breitbart, the Pope told his small congregation in the chapel of his Santa Maria residence that not accusing others goes against the spirit of the world. Among us is the great accuser, who always goes to accuse us before God in order to destroy us, Satan. He is the great accuser. When I enter into this logic of accusing, cursing, trying to hurt the other, I enter into the logic of the great accuser, who is destructive, he said, who does not know the word mercy. He does not know it and has never lived it. The Christian path always presents a crossroads, Francis said. On the one hand, there is the invitation of the Lord to be merciful, an invitation that is a grace of sonship, to resemble the Father. On the other hand, there is the great accuser, Satan, who urges us to accuse others, to destroy them. We cannot enter into the logic of the accuser, he continued, because the only legitimate accusation that we Christians have is to accuse ourselves. It seems like you're running circles around, this. Come on, man. I mean, it's unbelievable. For others, there is only mercy, for we are children of the Father who is merciful. So he's asking for mercy now that they've been caught raping children for decades and decades. So he's playing on, the fellowship of the church and people's good nature, and he's using that against them. The Pope's pointed reflections came just 2 days after he preached a similar homily in which he said that Satan, the great accuser, has been unleashed against the bishops of the church. I mean, is this not completely reversed? Like, Satan has been released on them? And them being the clergy that raped kids? You gotta be kidding me. Pope, head of the biggest pedophile ring in the history of the world. Let's take that for posterity purposes. Pope Francis claims those who call for justice are allies of the devil, which he just called himself in the previous article. Literally, he said that yesterday. He called himself the devil yesterday. On August 25th, the former Vatican nuncio to the United States, Archbishop Carlo Maria Vangano, accused a number of prelates of dereliction of duty in dealing with clerical sex abuse, and accused the Pope himself of rehabilitating serial homosexual abuser Cardinal Theodore McCarrick, elevating him to a position of influence despite knowledge of his misdeeds. In his 11-page testimony, Vangano alleged that he had personally informed Pope Francis in 2013 of McCarrick's history of abuse, along with sanctions imposed on his ministry by Pope Benedict, and yet the Pope lifted those sanctions and involved McCarrick in the naming of future bishops. The Pope has frequently called for transparency and accountability for those responsible for committing or covering up sex abuse, and yet now seems to suggest that accusations involving bishops or the Pope are in some way satanic. In the past, Francis has encouraged victims of abuse or those who had knowledge of abuse to come forward to seek justice and accountability. His recent denunciation of accusers now seems to present a contrary message, that accusers are following Satan or are followers of Satan. The Pope's change in message will inevitably come across to some as self-serving. You think? It's absolutely self-serving. And he's taking advantage of, the followers in the church, since recent accusations have directly involved him and his manner of handling the serial abuse of a personal friend and high-ranking prelate. So I'm a little bit confused. On one hand, he's saying that the people that are calling for basically justice for the kids that have got raped, he's calling them allies of Satan. And then yesterday, he calls himself Satan. Does the Pope have some sort of mental disorder, some sort of mental situation going on upstairs? I don't know what's going on. Let me know what you think. Have a good one. Bye-bye.